From days of long ago. From uncharted regions of the universe.
Robots in disguise.
And yours!
Assemble.
Yo, Joe! Hey, we are canceling the apocalypse!
Greetings and salutations, everyone. As you can see, my guests, Jim Largo, Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, welcome to the show. Hi, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Well, today is Tuesday, just in case you didn't know.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Yes, do.
Got it. Okay.
So, guys, you got anything you got this week? You were showing something before we started there, Wilhelm.
Yeah, let me hold on. I got something that's Jim's that that I should probably show.
Oh, okay.
Give me a second, but I'll show you this first. This is the benefits of $1 Aquaman 2 figures, because I got one and chopped it up and threw a dinosaur head on it and just made it.
I love that. That's exactly why I said, yeah.
Everything works better with a dinosaur head.
I think
so.
It does. I was doing it with the Final Faction guys, but they don't have articulation, so this is just cool. And the Aquaman figures, I gotta say, their accessories are not bad. The figures in the movie may have been terrible, but that sword's solid, and so is that trident.
I like it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, these aren't new, but I've been tinkering with them because I'm looking for some story ideas. These are some annuals. They're hardcovers that they used to. Well, they may still do. They used to print them in the UK, and sometime like around Christmas time, you'd get them. They had them for Doctor Who, obviously. They had them for Spider-Man, Batman, and every year they'd put out these hardcover editions, and they're just reprints of classic stories. They've got some games and puzzles in them. A lot of it's just two-color art, but it's a lot of fun. And,
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Since you brought that up.
And then there was one. How's everybody doing in the chat? I see Ian Sweeney and Goji and Ted Darkclaw. All kinds of folks hanging out here.
It's funny you mentioned that because I found this at Ollie's.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah. And I had never seen one before. It's exactly it. It's from the Capaldi year.
So check out this
Yep.
bad boy I found at Goodwill today for Largo.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
It's the Baywatch lifeguard Jeep. I figured he could use that. And, nothing else has come for Largo. Nothing at all that, people would be interested at all. Nothing came
That's a
in
good
with
looking mug
Largo's,
you got there.
with Largo's name on it. Nothing at all.
Yeah. So Helidope had a sale, and I decided to help them get rid of some old stock. So I got Marion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I got the Ultimate Warrior from the worst match in WCW history. Worst rematch ever, but I love that coat where it's I don't know if you can see it real plainly, but here lies the NWO.
Nice.
Yeah, I do love that coat. I mean, it's as bad as that match was, he looked good. He looked good running into it.
There you go. It's like he always had style.
Yeah. This was a big one.
Who was more flamboyant? Would you say the Macho Man or Ric Flair, or who would be your top as far as outdoing the other guys for swag and swagger?
Shawn Michaels. That would
Shawn
be my
Michaels.
top. Yes.
Okay.
Especially early in his career. Earlier in his career, definitely. Later in his career, not so much, but definitely earlier in his career. But this was a big one because I had sold this off when I really needed money because it was worth a lot of money. I did not know the value had come down, but it was only.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Love.
Is that the Mezco?
That is the Mezco Hellboy, yeah.
From the first or second movie?
Second movie, which is the better figure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I'm
I have their I've got the 112 one that's from the newest movie, and it's okay, but I really like the head sculpt on that one.
I'm a huge Hellboy fan, so I was really happy to get that specific figure because I think at one point that sold for like $100, and that's when I sold it. And then it's like I didn't realize I guess the popularity popped out of Hellboy, and it was like, oh, I can buy this affordably. Great. But we've been ignoring the chat. We should get to them. Just a second. Bjorn with Maju Black. And Wilhelm was here early. It was like 4:30 today. I was here. And Ian Sweeney, of course. And Wilhelm had some more. And of course, Largo's here.
So nice of you.
Warmed up to 3 degrees Celsius.
Oof.
I know your pain.
Y'all can keep it. It's been in the 80s here, and I'm happy. That's one of the reasons I moved here. I hate the snow.
Bjorn, I'm in the same boat. 15. It's about 15 here. It's really cold. Hello, Ted. How you doing? Hey, Gojitron's here. Good evening, good sir.
Yep. Thanks in advance, Ted, for getting that mug to Wilhelm. Eventually, it'll get to me someday.
Sure it will. Yeah.
Wednesday here already. Yeah.
It's in the mail. Yeah, sure. Sure it is.
Ian says Wednesday here already. It's still Tuesday.
Feels like a Wednesday.
True enough.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I know that.
Oh, I didn't know about this. New Marauders Vietnam update dropped today.
Oh, wonderful.
Cool.
That's great.
And always need a good try at it. Yeah, we're behind.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows. Yeah, Ted has excellent packing and shipping skills, so everything's going to arrive.
This was packed very well, but I had to open it because I knew what it was. So
whether or not it survives Wilhelm's desk is another story.
No, I'm going to put it right back in the shrink wrap when we're done with this show because I don't want it to get messed up. Even when I took it out, I was like, "Don't drop this on the way over to the desk."
We're just going to see random Instagram pictures from Wilhelm of that mug in the background with different action figures in it.
Right. Bjorn says Shawn Michaels' early gimmick was a male stripper, though it wasn't said out loud. I can't argue that.
I've
Ted
never
said,
hung out with male strippers, so I don't know.
yeah, I don't know
I'm
either.
not judging. I'm not judging.
Ted said it only took him 3 months.
Well, he's busy.
Kelly's here and asked what kind of accessories you get with Hellboy. I got his basic gun and his right-handed doom can be a fist or open.
Nice.
So it's got a swappable hand. And
So the
Fat Red
Samaritan
Blue is
is
here.
Hey, Fat
what's
Red.
up, Red?
Yeah.
The what was the big one he had in the second movie? Big Baby. It was like a
Yeah, Big
freaking
Baby or
grenade
something like
launcher.
that. Yeah, there's another figure from that line that has that with it, and I'm like, I might get it, I might not.
Hmm.
What does Ted say? Oh, I'd love a Wilhelm collage of photos with a mug. Pushing it on a swing. That's good, Ted.
You never know.
So, Wilhelm, I want to ask you a question. And it's not what are you sipping on? No seriousness. I wanted to ask you did the 1/8 team, which is a great show. And I really appreciate it because you've you introduced me to Delta 17. Acid versus Beta, I'm always like, oh wow, cool. Back to 1/18th because ooh, in
More to
general, I'm a
come.
1/18th collector except for Marvel Legends. That's what it is. In the past year, I've probably gone down the rabbit hole a little too far, kind of climbing back out. But anyway, do you exclusively do 1/18th, or is it just like, that's your main thing, but you dabble in other?
Yeah, so I would dabble in. I like anything cool, but for the most part, my collecting life was the '80s, and then in the '90s,
Mhm.
I went all in on Power of the Force 2. I was like a
Oh
kid in
God,
a
love
candy
that line.
shop. You know what I mean? Like I had adult money. They were very inexpensive, abundant, and so many cool things. So I bought up a ton of that, but I really got into the Toy Biz
Yeah,
90s stuff. I've got tons of that. But right around the end of the 90s, early 2000s, I had kids and I just stopped collecting altogether.
gotcha.
My priorities changed. So anything that came out like after 2003 or 4, I guess, all the way to 2018 when I got back into it, I really only, I would still go down the toy aisle and look at stuff, but I wasn't buying anything. So that whole Marvel Legends, for example,
Hmm.
like I remember the first Toy Biz ones with the build a figure on that big plastic back. I have a couple of those. I built the Apocalypse, and I
Uh-huh.
think there was a early Galactus. I was into them back then, but most of the stuff just missed me. So as I got back into collecting, yeah, it was really kind of focused on the nostalgia of the '80s. I got back
Sure.
into my GI Joe stuff. Unearthed my childhood collection, and when cool things came out like Classified and Valaverse, I kind of looked at my shelves filled with all this 118 stuff, and and it just didn't really make sense to me to get rid of it and go with another scale. So yeah, my
Yeah.
biggest, the thing I love most, let's say, about like GI Joe Real American Hero really is the vehicles and play sets. I love the figures,
Absolutely.
but the vehicles are what it is, and nothing else really offers so Star Wars, GI Joe, those are my two main ones, and they're
Yeah.
1/18 scale. So it's pretty much it. I'm not like a snob, I like
Right.
other stuff. Just my favorite.
Well, Will and I noticed too. Shameless plug. We're getting ready for January 18th, which happens to be 118.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
going
shamelessly
through the
plug away.
decades. Oh yeah. So 118, we're going to do a hangout to celebrate 118 scale. There's kind of this desert, like starting the late. What would you say, like late 90s?
Late 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say it was like after episode 1. So maybe going into 2000. So it was like episode 1 came out, which was like everything you could possibly think of. They made, every freaking, add-on sale that they could. It was episode 1, the the toaster oven. Episode 1,
Yeah.
socks. Episode 1, the Jedi braid. Episode 1, everything. And they kind of overdid it, and then there was like this decline for, and I'm not saying that the stuff that came out, it's just I was absent for it. So I know some people have, a lot of love for those things that came out between 2003, 2004, and 2015. But for me, there was just nothing that I really was into at that time.
Yeah, figure scales were changing. That you had the Turtles type scale, you had the whatever Congo and Waterworld. I guess they were like 5-inch ish. They
Yeah,
kind of had their
something
own
like that.
scale. So there was kind of this weird scale thing going on where nothing was quite, homogenous, and there wasn't a lot of 118. And then 112 started to gain popularity with Toy Biz and then into Hasbro.
Yeah.
But
I think it started with the Legends, and then it moved over to Black Series, and then it took over pretty much everything because then DC started doing it. Or, well, did DC ever do a true 6-inch line? Or
Mattel
DC
did
Universe
one called, yeah.
Yeah,
And those were
I-
112 scale. I've got a few of those. Those are cool.
I had a
And-
ton of those, as well as Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
Although my biggest concentration was 118 still, because I was very much into. I was not into Episode 2 Star Wars because I didn't like they were all pre-posed.
Yeah, they were like
Didn't like
pre-posed and
those.
had like action gimmicks, like a lot
Right.
of them. Yeah, and
But Episode 3 they started getting a lot better, and then
Mhm.
like my favorite has always been Legacy. Legacy was my favorite line from Star Wars. That was just
what
phenomenal.
year was that? Was that
I
after
wanna say-
Power of the Jedi? Was that like
Yeah, I want to say it was. I know it started right after Episode 3. Like
okay?
maybe a year later, and then it kept going for a long time. It went till it was even going while Black Series was starting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember Black Series was like both scales for a while.
Yeah, and then
confusing.
they ended
And then
Legacy,
they
and
went-
it went to Black Series was both scales, and it was like, why?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. it
Kelly
was-
Cox has a good question there. I think
Oh.
Wilhelm can
Oh.
answer.
All right.
The new 3.75 Marvel Legends I'm seeing. Last I heard they were canceled. So it's basically a kids focused line. It's the Marvel Epic Heroes series, and they are based a lot on like the cinematic universe. So they're not, I would prefer like comic based figure. As a matter of fact, I would just say they did. Oh,
Yeah.
they did the 3.7 Marvel, the retro carded ones. That's what I think you're talking about. They did get canceled, and those were cool. The design choices that they made for these figures, that's these guys, were perfect. They were like classic comic
Mhm.
costumes on almost all of the characters because they were retro. So it was a lot of the 80s stuff, but they were like 5 POA and they had really nice card backs. Those did get canceled. And then they came out with the 4.
It was kind of like we're trying to
Hero
compete
series.
with those. What is that series?
Super
that,
7 or the reaction.
Super 7
Reaction,
does.
yeah.
Reaction.
Yeah,
They're
they're
very similar
kinda
to the
like
reaction
Reaction.
figures.
If they did these styles in this figure format, I would be a very happy person. It was kind of like,
Yeah.
just push these together and you got yourself, and keep them $10. And I mean, all day long, I'd be buying them,
Yeah. I'm a big
new
fan
Epic
of,
series. They're what? Because they're 7 POA or 9 POA because they got
11,
elbows
I
and
think
knees.
I think it's
11?
11 POA. Yeah. Which it's enough to have fun with if you're a kid, you know what I mean? And the low cost keeps them
Right.
fun for me, and they're very accessible. They're always on store shelves, and I just like them because they fit in with the rest of my 118 scale stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah. I'm still. I mean, I know we talked about it before, but I'm still a big fan of the Marvel Universe line.
I think they're neat, but I just
Yeah.
every time I look for them, they're so expensive. They're like
Mhm.
prohibitively so. They didn't make as many of those as they did like
Right.
80s and 90s toys. So finding them even loose, they're pretty pretty pricey. Because when I got back into it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and buy all those. They're 10 years old now. Nope.
Yeah.
They're $20-$30 each. And if I could find a good deal, I have some, I have a few. Matter of fact, I have a really nice one. I should get out one of these days. It was like remember Marvel Digital Comics or something when that first
Yeah.
launched in like 2010? They had this like Comic-Con thing where you could get an Archangel figure.
Yeah.
And he's really cool. Yeah, and I
The
ordered
X-Force
it.
Archangel. Yeah, that was a cool figure.
It was like an exclusive, and I got that.
Right.
And it was because I was just I subscribed to the Marvel Digital Comic thing, and that ad came up, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna buy it. But that's probably like my only toy purchase of that decade.
By the way, fun fact: you know who worked on that line for a while, right?
Bobby Valid. Yeah,
that Action Force guy. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
On the figures.
Yeah,
I don't know which figures he did. Was it later?
He mentioned Death's Head one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's like one of my favorite figures of the line."
Yeah, I don't know enough about them. Like, I've never even looked at a checklist of them. I've seen some really good ones. I've seen some bad ones though too. Like,
there's give and take.
The proportions are off, and they look kind of like, I don't know, like just you know, they're like
too much articulation on a few of them.
Yeah,
there are.
Which, you know, you don't. I think what's the one I have? It's I have one of them though, but every time I look at him, I'm always he won't stand, and I just throw him to the side because he's just like. I'm trying to think of his name. He was in the. Oh geez, he's like a Superman analog. What is his name?
Oh, Sentry.
Not Sentry. The other guy.
Hyperion.
Hyperion.
The one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Squadron Supreme.
Give me enough clues, I'll get it.
Yeah. And every time I try to stand him up, like I guess the one I got just has really loose legs, and he just kind of falls over. But
yeah, some of those
sounds like my. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like my ex-wife. I've got to run. I got some stuff I need to work on, and my bandwidth is not great tonight. But just wanted to jump in, say howdy, and hope you guys have a good show. Have a very good show.
All right, Jim.
I'll see you
one
around.
day you got to stop in and be a guest as well.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
We'll work it out.
Take care, buddy.
See you.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, there are definitely some that I'm trying to track down. Like I'd love a Juggernaut or
I love that Juggernaut.
That Juggernaut's really cool because I got the X-Men 97 and I'd love to have a Juggernaut with them, you know, because you know, hopefully he was a little bigger. There are definitely a lot of really good figures in that line though that, you know, I would like to pick up one of these days.
Right. I've ignored the chat for a little bit. Let's just catch up because I noticed Jeff Morris stopped by. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Fat Red Foo says I'm a 1/18th equal opportunist. I know what you mean. Kelly Cox, what's with all the news? Oh, wait, we already read that.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
If you're world building and wanting accessories, oddly enough, the episode 2 figures have some of the best. This is one I will give you because there were some really good stuff in that line that was for accessories. Yeah, you are absolutely correct.
They did. I think they even
sounds like the G.I. Joe Renegades figures I'd love to get. Yeah, those were
you
found them, get them.
Hey Zazel, what's happening?
Hey Zazel. Zazel's Clubhouse is here. And Kelly says, see you later, Largo.
All right.
Yeah. But I was really a little curious about that. Now, funny thing, when this weekend, normally I can catch the 1/8 team as it's on, and I'm in the chat. But the past few weeks has been really chaotic for me. This weekend I had to take my daughter to the emergency room because
sorry.
She had strep throat and she was throwing up.
No.
So I missed it. So I was catching the replay the next morning, and you know, as I'm watching it, you know, they have the suggested down below, and I look and I see one of your videos, and usually I check when I discover a channel, I try to check the back catalog, and for some reason I missed this one, but it was you with an Ollie's.
Yeah, you know, I did an Ollie's toy hunt one time and kind of came up bupkis, you know, nothing really good.
Right.
And sometimes they have some cool books, like you were showing that Doctor Who book earlier.
Right.
So I always kind of stroll through there. I found some really nice. Bill's here from Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures.
Hey, Bill.
I found some really good trade paperbacks. I found some really nice like coffee table books,
Uh-huh.
like for the Marvel Universe and stuff. Yeah, and
Right.
that day I saw they had those mystery bags, and I remember those like the comic shop I went to when I was a kid used to do that. They'd make grab bags, and
Yeah.
they put two nice comics on the outside, and then a bunch of kind of rags on the inside, and you
Hmm.
could, but it was usually pretty much very affordable, for the price of um, one of those. You could do, yeah. So I got a lot of really cool ones in there, and
Yeah.
so I filmed it and I put it up there. It's actually a pretty good video on my channel.
It is. I
Um,
was,
yeah,
and that's why I
it-
felt the need to comment on it. I was like, oh wow, I did not see this video, and it's a really good video.
yeah, and I don't do a lot of like, I mean, we did Largo and I did a whole comic like Tales from the Spinner Rack kind of
Hmm.
type of story, because I was saying that's the difference between comics today and when I was a kid was, back then there was like a sense of adventure because you'd be walking by, you'd see comic books at the supermarket, on the spinner rack in
Right.
the convenience store, the drugstore had them, hardware stores had them, everywhere when I went, and a cover would just catch your eye, like I wasn't, as a kid, I wasn't able to consistently buy every issue every month,
Yeah.
so you would just kind of, you'd have some spending cash on you, you'd walk by, you'd see this awesome cover, Hulk's fighting Wolverine. Holy shit, I gotta read
Yeah.
this, and then you'd buy it, and then you'd like, let's say it was in the middle of a story, you'd go to the comic shop and try and find those back issues. It became like an adventure, trying to find, like, put the pieces of the story
True.
together. And that kind of went away with the internet. It's a blessing and a curse, because now you could just look up every issue,
Sure.
or you could even pull up a YouTube channel that will read every comic from a series to you. But anyway, I was really surprised at some of those comics I found. Oh
Bill
no!
says it's 12 degrees. Here, snow hasn't melted. Truck is still stuck in the driveway,
Ah,
and
sorry,
it won't
man.
crank. Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
I'm
he
worried
hasn't
about
been
my
to work
car.
all week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got some great ones, and surprisingly, the video did well on my channel. But I was just blown away because for me, being out of comics for so long, looking through these was kind of like recreating that experience because I didn't know what I was
Hmm.
going to get. I kind of looked through it.
Yeah.
I looked at the cover and I went, "Oh, that looks cool.
It
That's a great cover. Who is
is
that?
a good
Who's
cover.
peeking out of that manhole? I want to read it and find out."
Right.
And there is something about ads. They used to bother me when I was a kid, but
Love them.
now love them. They take you right back. And that old comic book smell, you can't beat it, man. There's some really nice stuff in here. So when you commented on that, because I had meant to do a follow up or several follow ups where maybe I read the comic, reviewed it,
Hmm.
decided if I wanted to go down that rabbit hole and explore, the issues before and after and go collect them. So your comment kind of reignited that, and I
Yeah.
was going to reach out to you yesterday because you commented and I was like, I was supposed to do that. I totally forgot. So I was like, thank you for bringing that up. I did get some new comics too. I mean, I'll try them
Yeah.
just to see because, you know, and by new, I don't know, but like Batman and the Outsiders, I remember this when I was a kid. That
I
was pretty
remember
cool.
that very fondly.
Some
Yeah.
really nice stuff. But like Rebirth, I never read any of these. Did you read those? Well, you had a comic shop, Robert, right?
My comic shop was closed by the time Rebirth started.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who doesn't remember this in the 90s? This is
Oh,
X-Men number
absolutely.
20. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was you got some really funny and Guardians of the
That's a fa-
Galaxy. That's a
that
good
that
that's
series was a favorite of mine. I love
yeah,
that series.
that's an annual. Oh my god, this game. If you had this game,
Yeah. Oh yes, that game was so awesome.
this was the one where like you just played, it was like a gumshoe, or you didn't use the light gun though. You used the controller and it was just like a shooting gallery.
Right.
Yeah. And then, but this cover got me because I don't remember this, but the Hulk fighting Santa Claus.
I have that comic. It's good.
I
I
never
don't.
read it, so I'm
Okay,
looking forward
read
to
it.
it.
I promise you, that's a Peter David Hulk comic. It's worth it.
Yeah. So I mean, just some stuff. I never read Star Trek comics, so that might be fun
Yeah,
to get into. You know what I mean?
I think Star Trek comics, all of them, are
Yeah.
really underrated.
So
I really
lots
do
of.
because I just love them.
I
Ah,
did love Silver Surfer
Rolando
back then.
Flores is in the house.
Hey, Rolando, keep up those great toy hunts, man. If you
Yeah,
don't follow Rolando, he's constantly toy hunting.
yeah. What
He's
was the Silver
awesome.
Surfer? Because I love Silver Surfer.
Oh my god, yeah, that one was it was Silver Surfer. It was -1.
Oh, the -1. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know when that was. I guess I could look up the
I
year on
remember.
some.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
when
a
I was
buck
kind of getting out of
95.
comics.
I was probably out of it by the time they got up to a buck 95. This is oh 97.
Yeah,
Yeah, 97, 98. I became like a full time. Like I was deep into work by that time.
yeah.
I threw
And plus
myself in.
98 and 97, I mean 97, 98 and around there, it was like
Yeah.
God, comics had gotten
Oh,
so bad.
these games were so bad. Do you remember these
Oh, those
Tiger
were
electronic
horrible. Yeah,
handhelds, the LCD ones? They were shit,
yeah,
man. But
they
this
were
was a
awful.
great comic and a great cover. Do you remember this one with the claw?
I do remember that cover.
That was
Yep.
cool. I remember getting this on the newsstand and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that would be
Yeah,
cool, man.
it's
Like,
kind of funny because I don't know if you realize it, but every Sunday I usually post up a I call it Tales from the Long Box because I bought this long box of comics and it was just this
okay,
menagerie of stuff. I mean, it's really
that's
weird.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
really a weird mishmash of stuff because it's like there was a Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu from 1977 in there, and
Wow.
then there was like, stuff from 2019. I mean, it was just
Oh, really? Yeah. So, and
yeah.
what'd you
So
do?
I've
Just
been
pick it
going
up
through
at a yard sale or something? Or
yeah, I've been going through it like just every week I just go through. But what was funny, I mentioned Shang-Chi for a reason. The week that really caught me was a 2-week span because I usually film it like all in one day
hmm
and film it for like a month, month and a half or something. But I had just finished Hellcat, and it was like the way the panels were positioned, it was so confusing, and it wasn't
yeah,
purposefully. It was just the way they did it,
yeah.
and it was just like rushed, and they weren't trying to do anything really cool. And then I pick up that I pick up the Shang-Chi, and I'm like, wow, there's this one panel, there's one set of panels. Shang-Chi jumps from a rooftop and lands on an awning,
Uh huh.
and the panels are positioned like it's going down, 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 down,
Oh,
down, and it,
okay.
it simulates motion.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that's pretty cool.
wow. And I'm like sitting there on camera going, look at that. That
Yeah,
is so cool. You
yeah.
know?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was one of my favorite episodes of it so far. And then I got on a big tirade. I picked up one of them was an X-Men comic, and it was the Jim Lee era
oh,
of
okay.
X-Men. And it was Rogue was in a halter top and Daisy Dukes. And I went on this
Okay.
tirade of how she would never do that as from a character perspective
Yeah, yeah.
because
But
I
that
had read Rogue. Rogue's one of my favorite characters in the
hmm
X-Men. And that's when I really got mad at X-Men was because it was like, I get what they were doing, but that's
yeah.
the wrong character to do it with.
Well, do you remember
You-
Psylocke when she first came out? She looked like
oh
a
yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons character. She looked like something that came out of a. Literally, she looked like the girl from the. She had like a robe
yeah,
and it was completely covered. And then all of a sudden, she's got psychic knives and she's wearing a G-string and she's
yeah,
doing all these. You're like, what the hell?
yeah. But
Oh
with
man.
Rogue, it didn't work because her character. I mean, she almost killed her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she had other trauma from touchings, and it was like she would be scared to death to accidentally brush somebody,
Yeah. Yep.
and that was my argument. It was like she would not be wearing something like that. Not that I'm an old man and think
Yeah.
women should cover. I'm like, no, that's a character. I mean, she would be
And that was the
scared.
90s, so they were just doing
Yeah,
that. This one
yeah.
killed me because I remember doing these mazes. That's a maze that you start at the
Oh
top and go down to
yeah,
the bottom for your lucky charms. And this Batman cover, Batman 622 from 1990, looks
Oh.
like what would happen if you typed into an AI art generator, draw Batman, and he's using a death ray, and it says, the Batman says, die. And
I cannot remember what happens in that comic, but I remember that.
I know a little bit because I think Largo told me that the basically this comic is like a bunch of people telling a story about what happened. It's like third party, like witness, and they get it all wrong, so the details are exaggerated. And
I like
it's a
this
pretty
comment
interesting-
from Kelly. Kelly says, "I hang my head in shame that I own some of the old Marvel comic swimsuit issues."
Hey, you know what? I
Yeah.
do too. I have something here that is funny. Where is it? Oh, I don't have it, but I have a calendar from like 1999. It was the Babes of Norath. And if you're not familiar with that, that is the world of EverQuest, the first
Oh gosh, yes.
popular MMO RPG. So they took some of the denizens of Norath and put them in bikinis and did a calendar. And I have it hanging up somewhere. This is
Kelly also said earlier that the first thing I learned to read was comic books, Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, and Unknown
Nice.
Soldier. I had
Excellent.
some of those as well. Those were good comics.
Yeah, I learned to read with it was Scrooge McDuck comics and Batman. Those were the ones and then I moved on to G.I. Joe.
I actually learned to read with Marvel 2-in-1. The things team up book that nobody talks about. Everybody talks about Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man, but nobody talks about Marvel 2-in-1, which I liked a lot better.
I did like those. Those were great.
Oh, I love that book. Yeah, I was a big Thing fan when I was a kid too.
I like the Thing as well. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Some of these are not from that book. Those are just other comics that I have. So I like this one. This is like Thor's fighting like I guess mythologically accurate Thor or something. I don't know.
That was a very weird twist. They tried to say Thor wasn't Thor, and that was Thor, and you know, I have to honestly say I don't remember what happened with that.
Yeah,
it was a weird storyline though, but yeah, it was more mythologically accurate, and
but I'll tell you, the cover got me. You know?
Yeah, that's another Peter Day. I know. I love my favorite run of any comic is Peter David's Hulk. Seriously.
Nice.
And you show me anyone from, it doesn't matter who the artist was.
Yeah.
You show me one of those covers, I'm like, that's Peter David one right there.
I liked 2099. I thought those were good. I enjoyed those when back then. I don't know.
I like
if they still hold up.
Spidey Super Stories. Easy reader.
Easy reader. Says this comic is easy read.
Here's
the Inhumanoids comic, and
that's nice.
With a Popples ad, but I got to say I love the art. You know, I think
you were talking about 2099.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. I picked this up at another separate time, but it's a
Dragonlance.
Legend of Huma trade paperback with it doesn't have the whole story in it, so I'm gonna have to find the rest of it, but it's illustrated really well. I think they did a good job. I did not know that they adapted these into a comic, but let me see if I can find
I was unaware of that as well.
Yeah, so it was in a mystery pack. It was in the middle.
Wow,
and I could see the spine, so I said, "Oh shit, I love Legend of Huma." So I was like, "I'm definitely gonna get this," and I'm happy I did. What he got?
Gojitron Spidey Super Stories was the comic that gave us the Thanos copter. That is right? True. I had forgotten that.
Oh, where is it? I want to show you. This is like the best part. Where is he? Yeah, I would love to get the rest of this, though. They got some really nice artwork in this. And I like the way they did the story, too, so I don't have to reread the book. My eyes are not what they used to be, so I can't
hear you. Mine either.
Me not read so good. Here we go. Look at that. Kaz the Minotaur. Remember him?
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you read Legend of Huma, but that was a Legends. Yep, that
Yeah,
was
it's been a very long time ago, but I have read it.
yeah, that was before the Cataclysm. So yeah,
Hmm.
and then I have my Action Force Mission Files trade here. But yeah, some really cool comics, and I definitely have to get into them and do them. So maybe we could get together sometime, and
Absolutely.
I'll pick one or two, and you could pick two or a couple. Like maybe we each pick two or three comics. Like you pull some from the long box, I'll go buy some more mystery
Okay.
bags, and we'll just pop them open and talk comics or something because that's fun.
That rocks. I love that idea.
That'd be a
Yeah.
good show, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because
So
yeah, I try to read, at least a few comics a week, and I mean, I'm still
yeah.
digging through that long box. There's so much stuff in that I have not
Do you
ever
remember it
seen
was
before.
sometime in the early 2000s when like I remember picking up a couple comics from like the comic shop and they started using a lot of like computer generated art
Yes. Yeah.
and it just looked weird. A lot of the Marvel, I think it was when they did Ultimates, maybe, or was it after that? Anyway,
Ultimate.
that's kind of
Yeah.
when I stopped reading. That was like kind of around the time. So
Yeah.
up until then, like 80s high, 90s, early 90s, definitely
Hmm.
late 90s, early 2000s, I kind of fell off. So like anything from that point on, I'm a little um I'm curious because I know there's some cool storylines, but anything.
Yeah. I was really heavy in the 70s and 80s and 90s. About the time that the boom died, I kind of dropped
Yeah.
off a bit not because the boom died. The quality went downhill. I mean, it
Hmm.
got really bad. Um, my big, my biggest example of that was Valiant. I don't know if you remember that company,
Yeah, I do
but
remember them. Yeah.
the first issue, the original issues of that company were so phenomenal. And then you look at it like 3 years later, they were garbage. The stories were garbage. The dialogue was
Hmm.
garbage. The art was garbage. Everything was garbage. And it was like, you know, I always said, I try to say this very carefully. Jim Shooter, when they got rid of him, that was a big thing. Not that Jim Shooter was the angel of comics, but he had a direction. As
Yeah.
soon as they got rid of him, the direction just went out the window, and they
I
didn't know
guess
what they were.
yeah. I guess that would
Yeah.
explain why some of the and then also like everything became a crossover event, it felt like, and it was like
Yes.
those were reserved for like
Right.
major cool events, not for
But
like
it's also funny you bring up Ultimates because Ultimates brought me back in
okay.
because
I,
it was
I don't know if that's true. I
yeah.
just remember picking up a few issues and like I really didn't like that art style.
Hmm.
Um, you know.
Yeah. I've got issues with the art style, but the stories were really good, so it kept me
Yeah.
engaged. And you know, it was Ultimate X-Men and Ultimates itself that brought me back. Really liked Ultimates.
What was
The first two
what,
miniseries.
wasn't there like a reboot before that? It was like Reborn or something. It was like
Heroes
Marvel
Reborn. Yeah, that was
Heroes
terrible.
Reborn. I
Yeah,
think that's when I kind of got out. It wasn't Ultimates. I'm confusing
yeah.
them. I think it was called Heroes Reborn.
Right.
And
That's when the Image guys came back and they did like miniseries for
yeah, and I didn't think it was
yeah.
great. And I was
No,
just
it
kind of like,
wasn't. It was bad.
comics. It kind of did me in for comics for a while there.
Yeah. Then I actually for I actually got into Walking Dead for a while because the comic is great. Um
That actually, I didn't know about Walking Dead until
yeah.
2008 or 2009. A friend of
Mhm.
mine recommended it, and it was a guy I was playing World of Warcraft with back in 2009. And I went to the comic shop and I picked up issues 1 and 2, but I didn't realize it was from like 2002. So there were so many issues.
Right.
Like, but when I started, there was like 50 issues. So I used a digital service to acquire the rest of the story, and I read them, and that was amazing. I loved it up to like issue 50. I would
Mhm.
say fantastic. I kind of fell off after that, But that, and then there was another one, and it's probably one of the only modern ones I followed, but it was mostly because it came, like, one of the issues came in a file someone shared with me without saying. Um, it was the Exiles. It was like
That's another one I love.
it was like a what if kind of team, and they were
Yeah.
going around the multiverse. Yeah, that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. You got some cool
Yeah.
characters there. They made Mimic a badass, and Blink, she was awesome in that. She
Love
was
Blink.
amazing.
Love Blink
Yeah,
in that
she was.
series. I got it right. I always keep her really close on my desk because I really love her.
There were some of the stories that weren't the best, but that
Right.
initial run of like 20 issues, I think, was like really good. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they recently brought them back, but I heard it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. That's what I heard too. It's funny going back to Walking Dead because to me, Kirkman lives a couple hours away from me,
Oh, okay.
and the beginning of Walking Dead actually takes place in that town.
Oh, nice.
And I've
nice.
been to that town, and I'll tell you, if you look at it carefully, you can actually still see, even though the hospital's been renovated,
Uh-huh.
the hospital looks the same as the art.
What he based it on? Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
remember in the early days, he used to have a splash page, like a showing you all the characters and then crossing out all the ones that have been killed so far.
Yeah.
Like, in the journey. Because like to keep track of all the characters would be too hard because so many people died so much. It was like crazy.
Oh, and I have to say too, the other one, the other landmark I found, the dumpy looking sheriff's office looks just like that.
Looks just like in the
Yeah, it does. It's like, oh wow, it looks exactly like it does in the comic. But yeah, I went to that town one day on a whim just to see, if it looked anything like the comic. I'm damned if it
And if
did.
anyone watching hasn't read the comic but has seen the show, the comic is so much better than the show.
Loads better. Yeah.
And I understand there were some things they couldn't do in the show because you got real human actors. So, they probably couldn't get people and then kill them off that quickly. So some characters were kind of amalgamated. Some of them their lives were extended quite a bit. But the comic was so much better. I don't know what happened after the first 50 issues, but it was good.
Yeah, let me
Oh yeah.
Figures and trade paperback, Damn My Kingdom for an Ollie's and a Ross. Evening Pains.
Hello, Pains. Bodacious
Fade
Bros.
one miss. I always trip up on your name, buddy. I'm sorry. Bodacious Bros. The beards are bonding. I really
you're getting a little furry there.
I know. It's one of my favorite Marvel events was Annihilation 2006. That's another good one.
Oh, Koji, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I found out about that one after the fact, but yeah, it is a good one. World Made of Cardboard. Hey, how you doing,
man? Speaking of World Made of Cardboard, I don't know if you saw the Sunday show, but
I did. I need to download.
That's my new spaceship that I made thanks to a world. This was designed and distributed for free on his video from a World Made of Cardboard. So if you guys want to make your own awesome spaceship, if I could do it, if I could figure out the instructions and make it, you can too. But yeah, he designed this himself, made it, and put it out for free. Watch his video; it's so cool. This kind of stuff is a lot of fun. And
absolutely, I love World Made of Cardboard. But
yeah,
I still got some old Mezco zombies sitting around. Cool,
nice.
And everybody's just saying hi to each other. So yeah, just want to keep up with the chat. Don't want to be Chad here.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be 50 minutes behind. And then he gets confused. He'll read the comment and be like, "Hey, what's he talking about?" And it's like, well, it was relevant when he posted it.
Right.
That's just the price you pay for being so popular, Chad.
But yeah, I mean, The Walking Dead was to me, it was like, oh, this is a local guy who's getting a big name, and nobody knew it was going to get that big, But I had all those originals right off the bat, and it was like,
yeah,
okay,
I still have them somewhere,
Yeah.
I think
I just sell them off. I bought a car with them. I bought a car with them.
The value's probably plummeted, but when that show first hit, those things.
Oh yeah.
Roof, yeah.
Yeah, I sold my first 50 issues and bought a car. So I mean, it was that was at that high at that time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I could drop a link in private chat if you want to post it, Robert. I don't know if you have admins.
Okay. Yeah.
To
Drop it in
World
for me.
Made of Cardboard.
Yeah, do that for me.
Yeah, because it's really cool, man. And
I love
got a bunch of
World
other
Made of
stuff, too.
Cardboard channel. It's just fun.
He's got a bunch of other stuff too. He's got a
Oh, yeah.
base, just a lot of fun stuff. But I'll copy it here. I'll throw it in private for you, and then if you could
Cool.
cut and paste it into chat.
Yeah, I actually need to update StreamYard to the paid version.
Yeah, there it goes. I just put it there. I don't think you have any admins, do you? Or
No, I don't.
Okay.
But back over here, paste. There you go, everyone.
Yeah. Spaded was saying that first season of Walking Dead was amazing. Lost interest pretty quickly after, but yeah, I really dug that first season. Yeah,
I did
was
too.
really, really surprised. Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, there's the link to World Made of Cardboard. Go check them out, man. And
Yeah.
if you can make one, make it and post it. I'd love to see it on Instagram. I'd love to see at the end of World Made of Cardboard's video, he takes it out and he's flying it down the street. I'd love to see like everyone do that because that's just fun. And I think that's a lot of us forget to have fun with our toys. I think that's.
But
cool.
I have to say, in the comic, when they reach that point in the comic, that's when it starts actually picking up.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like in the show they rushed through things they shouldn't have, and then took way too long on other things that they should have just kind of went through quickly.
Yeah, I thought they really screwed up with the governor, and I always made the joke because I don't know,
100%.
I don't know how deep you went into the comic.
Yeah,
but it was found out later that the governor wasn't even who he said he was.
No,
he was actually he took the persona of his brother.
Yeah,
he took his identity,
but they should have kept him.
Yeah, I said that the TV show was the one where the brother survived.
Yeah,
this is actually his brother, and that's what happened.
They should have done it like they did in the comic. It would have been so much better. The comic felt more dangerous to me. Like the stakes were higher because like you really didn't know who was going to live or die. And I understand, it's a different medium and everything, but the TV show was like so inconsistent. Like sometimes, a loaf of bread could go through a zombie's brain. Other times, you needed a weapon. It was like, do you remember like they just start stabbing them with sticks and stuff going through their skull?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember as a fan, and this is a spoiler if you've not read the comic. But also how many years has it been? So sorry.
Yeah,
but as a fan, I got so mad when they killed Tyrese. That was my favorite character. And but you know what I realized after they killed him? I'm like, yeah, anybody can die. There's nobody
that's the problem. Like anyone, they could just at any time, you know what I mean? It's just like great.
And I guess you've never made it to the end, have you?
Of the TV show, no.
Of
and
the comic,
no. I kind of dabbled in some of the later storylines and saw some of the stuff that was going on, but not like consistently where I read every issue. I was kind of waiting for it to all come out on trade and read it, but I never got around to it.
I will say this: you will be surprised who lives. It's very surprising.
Yeah. And I love the idea. I heard about Old Man Carl.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing in the comic, but well, it is from the comic. It's not a thing in the TV show. But yeah, that was cool because I think it turned out like I think I read a thing or I saw a YouTube video where it turned out like the comic was pretty much Carl telling the story about his dad and how he kind of got them through that. But he's wearing an eye patch. He's got his
Yeah.
dad's hat on. He's a total badass. He's grown up, and old man Carl's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah,
I liked the Walking Dead show. To that point, everyone quit. I was out too. Don't blame you. Yeah, that really threw things off.
yeah. I
Hardwire
mean, I did not like
Negan.
that moment I did not like that moment in the comic either. It totally
No,
messed my head. But I kept reading for a little bit.
Yeah, that was issue 100, so you were well past 50 at that point.
Yeah. Well, I picked up like keys, like I went
Gotcha.
and like cherry picked like where I'd read on a forum, like this is what's happening, and I'd go track down. But I don't have I collect it 1 through 10, definitely physical, and then like 20 through 50 digitally through various
Gotcha.
means. And and after that I picked up stuff here and there. Norman Reedus was not. He's like
He's not in
loosely
the comic.
based off a comic character that happened way later. One of Negan's guys. He was like he's kind of like he appears physically resembles that guy, but has a different name, right? And doesn't act like him at all.
Yeah, it was Dwight.
He's actually Dwight. Yeah, he's kind of based off Dwight, but he was introduced to the survivors in the very beginning. So yeah, he's like a complete kind of just insert for the TV show only.
Right. Yeah, and the funny thing about and then later they had Dwight in the show too, so that was really weird.
Yeah, and then when they had then they added Dwight. It was like, what?
But talking about comparing the show and the TV show, Dwight's character, that's a good one right there.
Yeah.
Because in the comic, Dwight said, you can't kill Negan because even though I hate the dude, he saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
So don't kill him, and so Rick honored that, because he knew if he did, Dwight would keep the saviors under control. In the TV show, they don't.
Oh my god! In the TV
the
show,
TV show just like
they had
whatever.
So many showdowns where
right.
And they stretched that storyline out. So
but without that little component, that whole scene at the end of that season did not make sense.
I was out because I remember watching. It was like towards the end of that season, and I told my wife, if they do another thing where they just pan into everyone's face and do a slow pause, and then go to each character. I said, I'm gonna shut the show off. And then they did it. And I was like, that's it. I'm shutting it off. I'm done. I'm done with this. Because they were padding for time. Like you can tell they were like, I'm gonna reach for this gun and maybe shoot you or not. Commercial. And then I was just like, I'm done. You guys are stretching this just to I could tell when you're dangling a carrot in front of me.
Exactly.
And I'm not biting,
Yeah. What did Gojitron say here? Walking Dead spread this concept too. Oh God.
Or 3 spin-off shows that I never got to check out. And I
think there's a total of 5.
5. Wow. Hyatt Toys is doing toys based on one of the new ones. And oh man, I know these actors have to eat, they need jobs, but at some point, go out on a high note, and just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not watch any of the spin-offs, and I'm not about to. I just have no interest.
I kind of lost.
I've still not watched the last season of Walking Dead.
Speaking of Kirkman, though, I did enjoy reading the Invincible comics too.
Good segue. Yeah, love Invincible.
And also, what was it? Astounding Wolfman. That one was pretty
that's another good one.
Cecil from Invincible is also in that as well, and I like that one too. I don't know any other series he did, but they were all pretty good. I enjoyed them.
He did the original Marvel Zombie series.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of more of a joke, though. And he kind of did it as a joke. It was decent, though. I mean, it wasn't badly written. It was decent. and then what else did he do? He did Ant-Man, which was he did a decent run on Ant-Man.
I never read that, but yeah, that might be something to look into.
I actually picked it up because he was on it, and I was like, it was the Scott Lang version of Ant-Man, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say the animated series for Invincible is pretty enjoyable.
I was really glad when I saw Invincible was going to be an animated show. I was like, perfect.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I love that that series, and the show's been great so far. Lost interest in the spinoff came out. I'm a big enough fan to anything to watch movies. A movie's worth of content in a week.
Yeah.
Commercials. No, me too.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
Did they ever call them zombies?
I think they called them just walkers, right? They just called them walkers.
Yeah, they had a couple other names like Shamblers and something else. Yeah, and they ran into that in the comic too, where different places had different names.
Yeah, a couple different classifications, but yeah.
It used to be just movie sequels. Now it's everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just walkers. Kurtman did a kid's comic called Super Dinosaur that I'm doing a video on about soon. It had a cartoon and a toilet. I did not know that.
I did not know that either. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I look forward to that, Goji.
Yeah, definitely let us know because I want to watch that video now.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be. Of course, Kirkman now owns part of Image apparently because he was the one who saved it.
I think I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like people are do their best work when they're trying to make it, and then after that, they kind of
when you're hungry, yeah.
So
there's some truth to that because once you get successful, people are like, "What's your next project?" And then they're like fawning over, "Oh, your next project's so great," and then it doesn't matter. Even though sometimes you just phone it in because you just don't have an idea.
And some people are like that, I think that was the last of Robert Kirkman kind of was like the end of comics for me. Those are the last series that I can remember getting into and really.
The very last series I've read from any company was The Last Secret War.
That was how was that? Was it?
Yeah. That was surprisingly decent. I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. I kind of like Doom. I kind of like Doom being the kind of hero, but even he knew he was awful.
Yeah.
That
was another remake. That was did they have to do another, remake?
I thought they could have gotten away with not calling it Secret Wars because it had so little to do with the original.
Oh, okay.
There was a bit about the Beyonders, but that was it.
Yeah.
For the most part, I thought it was just why are you calling this Secret War? It's not Secret Wars.
Yeah. And has there been anything that's come out in the last 5, the Chat May thing, I like it, it's a kiddie line. I get it, but it's original, even though some of the things are similar to things that were in the past, but it's not just a redo of something that we had when we were kids. It's at least something, different. And I kind of crave that, just like that spinner rack sense of, excitement and discovery when you just, went and you found this random issue of, two characters you're familiar with going at it and, or a really interesting storyline that you decide to go track down the rest of the story. It's kind of it's like movie trailers. I don't like when they showed me a teaser trailer 2 years before a movie comes out, or you know what I mean? It's I don't know if they, always did that, or, I kind of sometimes don't want to see a trailer because I just want to see the movie. You had me at the title, but
sometimes that happens.
Nowadays it's a trailer comes out and then you've got people, 10,000 YouTube channels breaking down. They're playing it in slow-mo. They're breaking down every second of it. And I'm I don't want to know all the details. I want to discover them for myself. There's something about experiencing it and kind of exploring and discovering the story for yourself that is satisfying to me that, you don't get when everything's kind of just laid out for you like that.
Yeah, in general, I'll watch those kind of videos after I've watched it because then it's like, okay, did I miss
Sure.
something? Oh
Sure.
yeah, okay. Well, there I did not see that. Good. That kind of went by
Yeah.
too fast. But yeah, I don't necessarily like people. Oh, a trailer dropped. Let me talk to you about this. And a funny one. Which one is it? Heavy spoilers. They're doing breakdowns of movies that are like from the 80s, like Blade Runner.
Oh, oh, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like okay.
Well, some
Um,
of some of those things too. It's like even
yeah,
like the Legend of Huma graphic novel that
right.
I found there, the trade paperback. I read the novel back, in the 90s, but
Hmm.
it's like, do I want to go back and read the book? I don't really have time to do that, so that's perfect. Or
Yeah.
there's actually a really great Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel where he goes through the Dragonlance lore
Oh, okay.
and kind of revisits he doesn't read the book to you, but he just kind
Hmm.
of does, and sometimes he does live streams and stuff, but he's a really cool channel. So I like watching that just to kind of refresh my memory. Have you
Oh,
ever picked up a book where you're like, I forget what happens in this, but as soon as you start reading it, you're like, oh, I know. Or a
hmm.
movie. I'll put on an old movie because I forgot, and then I'm like, nope, I know how this ends. It's all right. I don't have to watch
Yeah, usually if I put on an old movie, it's because I haven't seen it and I know how it ends, but I want to watch how it gets there.
it.
You know.
Hold on, spade it. Um, you weren't jumping up and down watching the Madam Web trailer. No. It would be funny if you remember when the Star Wars trailers came out and there
Uh-huh.
was like people were like crying if you edited their reactions to that and they're just like tears are coming down. They're like, I can't believe this. They're just crying. They're
Wait a
watching
minute,
that.
Gochi. There was a Godzilla versus Justice League.
Wow.
I remember Godzilla versus the Avengers way back in the day. That was funny.
I did not see that. I would love to see
Yeah.
that. That's pretty cool. But how much are comics now? Like if you went and
Oh
just
God,
bought it,
they're outrageous.
are they $5 or
They
more?
probably are. Yeah. The last time I
Really?
went to a comic shop, a regular comic was like $4, 3.99, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, not doing it.
That adds up pretty quick. I think I got out when they were like, I just remember them being like a buck 25, I think was like, and they were like
Yeah.
60 cents when I started. So, you know,
Um, World Made of Cardboard seems collector toys are slowing. Do you think toy companies will start original ideas directed at kids?
they do.
Yeah.
I
I wish
really,
they
I
did.
prefer those, and
Yeah.
at least they're fun, and
Right.
I like my collectibles. I like my vintage stuff. But I also like stuff that kind of bridges the gap. It could be both. You know what I mean? Where it's targeted at kids, but adults could enjoy it as well. Maybe.
What I notice is, and I'll name the company Hasbro. I notice Hasbro doesn't seem to have any new ideas though.
No, and they do have a lot of IPs that they haven't tried, and
Right.
that's also odd to me too. That they just keep going back to like the same ones, and
Right.
maybe if they shook it up a little bit, and I don't know if you remember, like when I was a kid, I was really into GI Joe, but then like something new would come out and I'd get into it for a while. I'd probably
Mhm.
always go back to GI Joe, but like for a while,
Yeah.
I'd put my Joes in the closet and bring out my Motu stuff. I think
Mhm.
because it was like kind of revolving, they were changing, um, and yeah, for the last or recent memory, I could say that it's really just been GI Joe, Marvel, and Star Wars,
Yeah.
and
And
a
I'm
lot of
the
reissues and a lot of stuff like that. So
yeah. And I'm a huge Marvel fan, but I'm with you on that. It's like, okay, I mean, give us the stuff we want, quit giving us this stuff we don't want, and after that, you know, we can we can
yeah,
do
it's
something
nice to
else.
see the things that we loved as a kid, but like I
Yeah.
feel like it's happening on a repeat. Like the first time
Yes.
I saw like Motu came back, I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. They brought it back. But then it's like there's like 4 or 5 different lines, out at the same time, and then they kind of keep redoing it. Or same thing with GI Joe. and there's nothing new. It's not like, hey, we're bringing back the GI Joe classics. I think I said this on another stream, but I was just saying, remember in the 80s they like ran X-Men, and then they had X-Men Classic X-Men, like, so you
Yeah.
did like
Oh
back
God.
issues, like
Yeah.
they did reprints. Like they could still do some of a wave could be like the classic stuff or like the reissues, but then like they do new characters or try new stuff, but yeah, I mean, Hasbro has Mask. They have,
Oh
I
God,
mean,
they've got
stuff that people would get into. They have lines that people would get into because they haven't seen them in so long. But
yeah.
is it that they just don't want to take the risk and try something new? They're just chasing
That's the
the
theory.
sales.
Yeah, that's the theory is that they're risk averse. They don't want to take a risk. They want to do something that they know is going to make money. I love that we're jumping in down with Madam. I was just like,
Yeah.
why did they
I was-
make this?
Seriously, there was a guy. Oh my god. There was a guy, his YouTube reaction was just, his thumbnail was just him sitting in front of the TV like this. And
Mhm.
he just had this look on his face. And it was just like bewilderment. Like he was just like I can't even do it. It
Right.
was, and I said, I don't even have to watch it because just the look on his face told me,
Yeah.
I still watched it. But,
I bet it was the same look on my face when I watched it. I was like, what? You know.
what
And
is happening?
I binge on D&D lore when ever the NECA D&D pick. And you see, that's a good one because my God, we've seen smattering of those guys in the past, like what, several decades, but it's never
They
been
have
action figures.
so much good lore.
Yeah.
So many good novels that they could adapt, and so many that people would get into. But the 2 Dungeons and Dragons movies that I can think of, the second one not being a terrible movie, but they went with this like original storyline that was supposed to appeal to everyone, but they could have just picked any one of those series: Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Eberron. I mean, there's all these different worlds that they could go to and pick a story from and just make a movie based on it. And I think they would do very well, and have a toy line and everything.
Yeah. World Made of Cardboard says Godzilla versus Justice League. I saw it. I haven't bought it. I have to find that now. That's just a mutt. When I started comics, there were still only 25 cents on the cover. Goji, you and me both.
I mean, I don't remember getting them off the rack at that price. I think they were 60 cents, but yeah.
I don't actually remember picking them up for that price, but I have some that I know I had.
Oh yeah, I definitely had some. I don't know when
Yeah.
they jumped up to 60 cents.
Yeah, I would have to say, they came in those bags, the mystery bags, because I think almost every one of them I had from my childhood came from those mystery bags. We didn't even have a spinner rack where I lived. It was like, just
some of mine were the ones with the covers ripped off by the
Yep.
dumpster out back, and I'd snag a couple of those and read them.
Yeah. Weird and Fantastic Toy Adventures. Me too, Goji.
Yeah, oh yeah. I saw
Toy line right now is. Oh, I want to highlight this and talk about it. Toy line right now: TMT, Star Wars, Wrestling, Marvel, DC Heroes, MT, and GI. Here's the thing on this: for a lot of these, we're all doing callbacks. Wrestling is the one I think sticks out a little bit. Because if you watch, most of the wrestling stuff is the modern stuff, which I have no interest in.
Yeah, it is modern stuff.
But they're keeping enough of the old stuff for people like me to keep me interested.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because I've got that Ultimate Warrior up. I got a Terry Funk not too long ago. And these are
stuff. There's also
and these are excellent.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. And these are excellent figures, so it's like, yeah, it's okay, yeah, they're 1/12, but God, these are like figures I wanted when I was a kid. I was
But
never
it
a
would
big
be nice
fan.
to see something in that toy aisle that makes you kind of look twice and go, "What's this? I want to learn all about it." Like what is? Oh, this is
Right.
interesting. But I don't really see anything.
Um, get off the the action figure aisle, that's for us. Go over to the little kid aisle, and that's where the cool stuff is. I like that. Um, aren't comics publishing pushing $5 now? I think they are. I
I
really
think
do.
they are. Yeah, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if they were $5 because I got a decent comic shop where I live, but I go in there and I buy other stuff. Um,
hmm I
yeah,
think the
I
last
need
time I went to a comic shop, I bought one thing from their like value bin and a
uh-huh.
Star Wars figure.
Right. And the chat jumped on me a little bit. Hasbro and other companies are more concerned about keeping the shareholders happy instead of fans. That's
Yeah.
true.
Bill brought
Um,
up this one. Yeah, the Dragonlance cartoon, which I gotta say, when I saw this on the shelf at Walmart one day, I was really excited because it was an animated full-length
mhm.
feature of Dragons of Autumn Twilight. Oh boy. So they had an all-star cast. They had Kiefer Sutherland,
Mhm.
Lucy Lawless. They had all these great voice actors. Apparently, the studio that was making it like ran out of money, and
Is that what happened?
yeah, and like
Okay.
the movie was kind of like put out unfinished. So it really rough animation. Some like there's like errors. There's like visible errors in the animation. They tried to do this thing where they blended 2D animation with 3D animation, like
That's what I remember of it.
the Draconians were all computer animated, and
Yeah.
the heroes were like, um, I mean, it's a pretty accurate telling of the story, but I think the abrupt, also like music just abruptly starts and stops. It doesn't like, it's like really choppy, um, and it's pretty bad. And not a good way to convince someone to make a movie of that material. I would say that, but
Mhm. Yeah.
um, still, I was happy to see some of that, but yeah, it was a little disappointing.
Right. All new properties and with vehicles and places are in the kitty aisle. That's true. Kids are
Yeah,
growing out of stuff faster than we did. I
I
always
think
argue
it's
this. I always argue this because I don't think they're growing out of it. I think the marketing is aiming at them to go another direction.
could be.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's like
because once you get past the toddler stage, it's like, what do you do?
the problem
Oh,
is like everything up to like age 6 or 7 is if it's not like considered educational, then it's
hmm,
like kind of frowned upon. It can't
yeah,
just be fun. It has to be like fun and educational. And even in some cases, it's like kind of educational, but it's like not really.
yeah,
Um, and and it's really kiddie stuff.
hmm,
It's they don't really go into anything adult or difficult social situations or anything like that. It's just a lot of like elementary basic kind of lessons and stuff. Um, if there was a captivating or an imaginative toy line that could keep kids interested, I think they would go to it, or at least some kids would gravitate towards it. But you know, at that age, a lot of them are just transitioning to, I'm sure it's like around 7 or 8 now when kids are just like, "What do you want for Christmas? I want a phone."
yeah.
That's what
Well, I
they
mean, and
want.
that's what a lot of us old people say is, "Oh, these kids just want electronics." I'm like, what's being marketed towards them are the electronics.
Yeah,
I mean, we
our
don't do toy
games,
lines to kids anymore.
but
Yeah,
also a lot of the things too. So like when I was in school, when I was like in third grade, I remember my friends saying, like, "Oh, dude, Transformers are awesome." Or remember we had show and tell. We
yeah,
would bring in our toys. So you'd be holding up your toy, and then your friend would be like, "Oh, what's that?" And you'd say, "Oh, it's Loki. He's the god of mischief." And then he'd go home and go, I want Loki, the god of mischief. Nowadays, kids are just like, hey, what's this? And he's like, oh, it's Fortnite. You could play it. And, I think that's just the reality of it. A lot of kids' decisions are influenced by their peers. And, hanging out and playing video games is kind of considered more
Right.
socially acceptable than,
Right. Hear me out. Naked needs to do
He's
Amazing as a Monster movie line.
Hey,
Yeah, that had
overacting Tom Hanks. I'm
right.
so confused. Yeah. He's acting really frantic in that movie.
Wrestling toys are interesting right now. AEW is apparently doing well. That's a whole new brand in that space of Target shelf. I gotta say, I mean, I do think, and I don't think I'm wrong on this. I mean, I go into my local Walmart. The wrestling figures are selling. You know what else is selling? Star Wars Vintage Collection. Black Series is not selling. Star Wars Vintage Collection goes straight through.
I think they
sells
get one
fast.
case in. Yeah, I think they get one case in, and then people pick the 2 or 3 characters they want, and then everything else just sits there, and then they never restock.
Okay. I got this at my Walmart, Darth Revan.
Oh, nice! I never saw them at Walmart. I got them right here, but I ordered them through Hasbro.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd see him at
I didn't
Walmart.
even know he was out yet, so I hadn't ordered them.
Oh,
but this was a week
figure.
ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I went
never
back,
saw.
and there was a full case. I went back later in the week, all gone. Went back later in the week. He was back again.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's got to be the area I live in, because even when like Mandalorian season 1 was out and they came out with the figures, I never saw them at my Walmart ever. And then, 2 years later, I'm finding them. I think I got one on the secondary market.
Oh, well, Killing Joke back in the day for $250. Still have it. Regular comics are more than prestige formats. But you're right. Can't argue that. I do think I remember hearing about Diamond was basically a monopoly of distribution. They can charge whatever they want. And I had heard something about Diamond, but I can't remember what it was.
They're not as widely distributed for sure. You don't find comics in the supermarket aisle or even at the convenience store anymore. So kids are not gonna just pick one up because they see it at the spinner rack right next to. They're buying snacks and they see a cool comic, they would pick it up.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of in your face. So, or you're shopping with mom and you go down that aisle and it's like, hey, mom, can I get this? And if you were lucky, she said, yeah. Or say, go put it back. You have enough comics at home, If they're not there. So it's like, what? Are kids not reading comics because they don't see them? They're not, exposed to them the way they were.
Right.
Now they're, or did they go away because people stopped reading them? So I don't know.
Yeah. Do any of you think Final Faction has survived? I haven't seen anything in a while. I didn't know anything bad was happening with it.
On the Facebook groups, they did say the second issue of the comic was canceled, so they didn't go forward with the physical comic. But they did say that new stuff is coming out for Final Faction and that they're not done with that. So, and I think that was like an official statement. So, but yeah, I have not. It's been like a year since they did the recolors or more. And I don't know if they're going to be back.
Okay. Of course, this classic one, we have rows of ESB Lando's peg warming. That's a damn shame because that's a good figure, actually. I like that figure.
But they probably just overestimated.
They overpacked him. Yeah.
Yeah. Which they did that back in the day too. There was a lot of in our day we had girls, cars, and booze. Yeah, I think the biggest distraction when I kind of grew up was first it was like it was gas money. When you got a car, it was like gas money was like the big thing, and beer money for the weekend and stuff like that.
And hello, Frontline. Late to the party, but you're always welcome.
Dude, Frontline won the I don't know if you saw that on the thing, but Chatmate did that awesome send us your idea R&D contest.
Yeah.
And they announced the second place winners for it yesterday, and Frontline's idea won. He won second place, and he got the spider cannon. That's that cannon, the tank
Hmm.
with the spider legs, which personally I think is like a first place prize. That's like the best thing in the line, I think. So second place is actually the best prize. The first place prize, which they're going to announce tonight, and I got to tell you, Frontline's his entry was like the best I saw.
Uh-huh.
Personally, I think he should have won the whole thing. He did the
Okay.
best job. And whoever wins, first place, congratulations to them. I don't know who it's going to be, but after I went back yesterday and I read through all the suggestions, and there's so many good suggestions. I doubt it's going to be mine. I made some mock-ups and my suggestions, but there's so many better ones out there. But first place gets the acid versus beta version of this.
Yeah.
This is it's called the
Soldier Force.
this is the Soldier Force version, but the one for the acid team looks awesome. It's all blue and it looks amazing. It's the
it does look
Eradicator.
cool.
And first place is going to get that. So, yeah, dude, congratulations again, Frontline. That was awesome. Yeah, and if you get to check out his ideas, he did a really good mock-up.
I had actually seen that. It was good.
Yeah, he did
That's what I've been thinking for a while now. Sad reality.
So
no one announces the line is canceled. It just fades away. I mean, I don't know. Did they ever really announce the lines were canceled? Did it just stop? I mean,
yeah.
I don't ever remember Masters of the Universe being canceled. It was just kind of stopped showing up at the store.
Yeah, it just kind of went away, or you moved on to the next thing,
Right. I hate that newsstand distribution comic stop. Yeah.
I do hate that. And do they still run ads in comic books like they used to, or did they kind of?
I don't know.
Because I think that's what paid. Is that what paid for the news? You know what I mean? Like I felt like all the ads they ran in there kind of paid for the distribution, and then
that's a good question.
Just kind of icing on the cake,
Frontline, yes, issue 2 canceled. Issue 1 was way overproduced.
That was for the final faction,
Andrew Davis.
Yes, yeah. I gotta book my room. I just saw an announcement yesterday. I didn't know that they opened up the room reservations with you get a discount code if you go through the Joe Fest link, and they said they're almost sold out.
Frontline says he found out because of you. Thanks, appreciate it, dude. Your place that connection to expand on.
Oh yeah,
good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but then I read everyone else's and I was like, oh wow, I should have thought about this more. But I really did put that together real quick. World Made of Cardboard, dude. Have a great night.
Take care of World Made of Cardboard and keep up the good work. I love it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's dude. He's doing some really fun stuff, and of course
he
is. Shout it out because it's awesome.
Yeah, his bases and stuff like that just look great.
Yeah. Speaking of Frontline was able to find these too. It's like a little flying wing.
Yes.
This is going to be this is going to be an acid vehicle as well. And Frontline was nice enough to find one and send it to me. This is the Soldier Force version too. But nice little mini vehicle. Perfect.
I like that. It does remind me a little bit of the Sky Sweeper from G.I. Joe, which was one of those vehicles a lot of people don't really they kind of ignore until somebody shows it to them. It's like, hey, look, oh wow, that is cool.
And the only bad thing about the Chat May stuff is that Chat May did not do a good job of explaining when and where they would be available. Because I commented on one of their first announcements for it, and they said, look for them on store shelves like end of August, beginning of September. And they did come out, but like only in certain European countries. And
wow.
and like the Pacific kind of market. And then I wrote them an email, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna hit the U.S. stores." But I was going to like Dollar General every week,
Mm-hmm.
like checking every Tuesday. I was like checking Dollar General, like 2 or 3 of them sometimes. And I'm like, well, damn it. I thought they were coming out in August. So I was expecting to walk in and see a whole shelf of these things.
Yeah.
And, I wasted 3 weeks doing that, and they never came out. And, I'm just really looking forward to the day I walk into a Dollar General and they have like a top to bottom, hopefully packed out with all of this stuff. I'll feel like a kid again.
Yeah, that'll be cool. If that happens. But Chatmay's always had a weird distribution anyway. It's
Yeah. Even
yeah.
the Green Mech, the Soldier Force one,
Yeah.
those hit stores, and I thought they would be like, because a lot of the Chatmate stuff too was like always around, So I thought they would be, just something that Dollar General carries for the whole year. I bought mine. We're doing the custom contest, and people are like, I can't find these anywhere. I'm like, God damn it, really?
Yeah, well that's because you turned Articulated Ninja onto them, and then
Yeah, everyone just started buying them up. Yeah.
that's always been my joke. It's the Articulated Ninja. And by the way, I've told him this. I told him I make this joke, and I kind of mean it, but it's true. It's like he mentions something, boom, you can't find it.
Mhm.
Veteran William, try to find that action figure. It's nowhere.
Yeah.
Helix is sold out everywhere, and
Mhm.
that mech, I see posts every day. Oh,
Yeah.
I found that mech
He
Articulated
has
Ninja
a
was talking about.
huge audience. Yeah, he
Yeah,
has a huge audience, and
yeah,
people.
he does.
And when he likes something, he presents it in a way that like makes you wanna. Because even like Veteran William, I don't even collect that scale, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm watching this
I,
video.
I thought about Veteran William, and then I just went, nah, no, I'll back up. But
I actually have Veteran William here. It's Largo's. He did say I could open it and play with it. Maybe, maybe I should.
uh, that's a good
He
one.
says that about everything, but I'm like, what if I break it? I'll feel
Yeah,
terrible. Like I don't want to mess. And I know he says that, but it's like, does he want it after I got my grimy hands all, all over it? It'll be like pizza sauce
true
on it.
enough.
I'm like, I'm a mess. So yeah.
Anyway,
Frontline saying he did the same thing. Many trips to Dollar General and Family Dollar. Yeah, man. I was all over the place because I was thinking they were coming out. So like that's the only thing I could fault them with is just not being like
right.
just outright and say like this is the release date. They just kept saying like coming soon to us, and it gets frustrating. But like if you look at anything they post, it's usually someone in the comments saying, "When are we gonna get these things?" Like you started posting about this stuff 6 months ago. We want them.
They had a great monster truck years ago. I mean, this was like during the Spy Troop days of GI Joe,
Hmm.
and I saw it and I said, "That is the perfect Dreadnought vehicle." And it was the same thing when you were getting it.
Yeah,
Oh, you'll get it, and then it finally
talking.
came. Yeah, it finally came out. They repainted it in the Dino Hunters line or something like that. And that's
Yeah,
when I
we were
got it.
talking Chatmay, and I think Gojitron sent me the links to this
Uh-huh.
website that has like an archive of all the stuff they've done.
Hmm.
There is some amazing sets. Not all of them hit the U.S.
Right.
market. Pirates. They did Vikings. They did like Knights and Warriors and just awesome stuff. Like so many lines that if they released in the U.S., I think they would sell.
Yeah, Chet May and Leonard do have a lot of trouble getting U.S. distribution without support from Walmart and Target. Though there are times I miss Toys R Us. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, yeah. I wish some of the bigger stores would carry them. One of their distributors is Toys R Us Canada.
Hmm.
It's listed on their website. So any of us that have friends up north, hopefully, they'll have some really good displays up there.
Right. Speaking of Dreadnoughts, I finally grabbed Ripper to go with Buzzer. Need Torch bad. Actually, when I
Nice.
get Torch and Quick Kick and Alpine, I'm done with Classified. That's really all
All,
my favorite characters right
yeah,
there.
all solid characters, man.
Yeah. I mean,
I saw who's it? Brick something sent me this thing. Some guy did a scratch built 1/12 vamp, like a modernized vamp. Oh,
oh God,
so nice looking, man. He sent it to me today. Fucking beautiful.
yeah. That's what's backing me out is like, okay, wait a minute. I got this stuff in 1/18 scale. I don't need vehicles in 1/12. You know, that's a bit much for me.
They're pretty huge.
Yeah.
It was like this. I saw this thing at Goodwill today, and I was like, I know Largo does the 1/6 stuff. And when I saw that Baywatch logo on the side, I was like, I have to get that for you.
That's a good one.
That's going to be hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing his Joe adventures, so I'm going to send that to him. That is funny.
Oh God,
But yeah, those vehicles are big.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Was it Chad that said that what's going to happen is people's spatial orientation is going to realign, and they're going to realize they don't have room for this crap?
Mm-hmm.
Which would not surprise me.
Oh, Kelly's up in Canada, so they said they'll check when they go, but their Toys R Us is pretty scuzzy.
Yeah, I've heard that about Toys R Us there. I'm always amazed. I was amazed when I found out Kmart still exists in Australia.
Is it? I don't think it's the same corporation, though, right? Is it the same?
Yeah, I don't think it is, but yeah.
Yeah,
but
maybe it was like a separate entity, or maybe they were together at some point. I don't know if it would, like, if we went there, would we recognize it? Like, would it even seem familiar, like U.S. Kmart?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was just.
I went to one in 2020 back at in my home state, and it was pretty sad affair. A lot of the aisles were kind of like roped off. Like the store was kind of like the perimeter was closed. There were just empty shelves, and everything was kind of pushed towards the center, so it was a lot smaller. The toy aisle was pathetic. Yeah, really not good.
Were they closing it, or was it just?
They closed it the year after, I believe.
Okay.
So I was there. It wasn't like going out of business signs or anything yet, but you could tell it was definitely not. It was not good. It did not look good.
Yeah, I remember the when the Kmart where my Ollie's is now, by the way, when it closed down, going there, and it was like really weird because it was like a lot of their electronics were marked down, quote unquote, but they were marked
the same
up before
price.
they were marked down. Yeah, so it ended up being
there was one by
$2
here.
or $3 difference.
Towards the end, maybe it was when they closed the one by me.
Yeah,
and I went in there and their prices were outrageously high.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, even with their like clearance sale, 30% off, I was like, this is still the same price as like, going anywhere else. But I think I bought something. When I was a kid, that was the only game in town was Kmart. That was the only place I could go for stuff. So, music, that's where I went.
Mm-hmm.
Toys, that's where I went. Unfortunately for me, clothes. So I got shit at school for having Kmart sneakers and stuff. But that was pretty much the only place we went.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the only option was a small chain. It was similar to Kmart called Maloney's.
What's it called?
Maloney's.
Maloney's. No, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is almost every Maloney's that existed where I live is now a vendor's mall.
Really?
That's they kind of have booths and stuff where you walk in. Yeah. Almost every one of them.
More of them here. The only place like that we have around here, it's like open air. They have carports, basically, like metal carports.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like real hot though, and it's like I would get a booth and sell stuff, but I really don't want to be outside in Florida weather for longer than I have to. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones around me, they're like okay, but they don't sell too much stuff. I go in like once every 6 months and see what's there.
Yeah.
Find maybe one little knockoff toy that I didn't know existed, and it's fun.
I love knockoffs.
Oh yeah, knockoffs are great, but it's not a whole lot going on. Usually, it's more along the lines of what they pulled off a pallet. Those pallet sales. Yeah. Good thing about those shoes is you never got your ass kicked because
Yeah.
nobody wanted. Oh
No,
God!
no, I just got shit for them being like, and like I really didn't pay attention to when I was a kid. I didn't care about the trends, but a lot of the Kmart shoes were like kind of knockoff styles, like they were like fake Air Jordans or something. And so
Yeah,
I'd go to school and someone would be like, "You think those are Air Jordans? You're sorely mistaken." I was like, I didn't even know what Air Jordans were, dude. I couldn't care about them.
right.
So yeah, it never bothered me.
God, where I live, it was so poor. It's like people were like, "Wow, okay, you got Kmart shoes. Good job."
Yeah, yeah.
That was upscale.
Look at you, Mister Kmart shoes, thinking you're all
Kmart,
high and mighty.
you traveled all the way to Kmart in another state because I'm on a state line, so it's like you have to go to the other state to get the Kmart.
Yeah.
All right. Um, anything coming up on your channel we need to worry about?
So we've got 118 day.
Hmm.
On Thursday, 118, we're doing a celebration of the 118th scale at 7:30 p.m. Eastern over on my channel. And it'll be me, Largo, Scuba Pete, and Chad, I believe, are coming.
Cool.
So that'll be a fun discussion. We're going to kind of just take a trip down 118th scale memory lane all the way up to the
Nice.
present day and just hang out and talk about it. It was kind of something that we just put together like on Sunday. I asked the chat if they thought it'd be a good idea. The reason I thought of it was because on 112,
Right.
I saw someone on Instagram say it's 112th scale day. And I was like, oh, if it's 112 scale day, then 118's coming up. We got to do it.
Right.
And everyone in the chat seemed down with it. I thought it was a little corny, but whatever. Let's have fun.
I like it.
And then Sunday, we have our regular show. We'll be joined by Beta Ray Bob
Uh-huh.
and Outer Multiverse and Mr. Bjorn Jorgensen. And we're going to be talking about modern action figure construction and compatibility. So this is like the G.I. Joe 50th kind of guys, the Marauders Task Force, Eagle Force Returns, and there's other ones too. But they're going to give us a breakdown because they do a ton of customizing between those lines. So for anyone interested in figure customization, you're going to want to check out that show because these guys really do a lot of it. And they're going to kind of show us which parts are compatible, how to adapt them to other brands and styles. As a matter of fact, I think Brian from Outer Multiverse did a really nice head swap with the Epic Heroes Black Panther figure. He put it on a Acid Rain Anubis figure, and it looks awesome.
Oh, cool.
He popped the head, and I don't know if the ball joint fit properly, but yeah, he bought it. He popped the head, which is a decent head sculpt, and he popped it on there. And that's just a head swap, and it looks fantastic, man. So yeah, you guys, if you want to check us out on Sunday, that'll be a fun show.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Oh, and then we also have Infinite Playlist with Scuba Pete coming up next Monday, and a bunch of other shows, and of course.
God, I've got two big
on
lists I
amazing
need to
stuff.
get the Largo for Infinite Playlist that I keep forgetting to get to.
Yeah, Jim's just constantly working on
Yeah.
all kinds of side projects and things like that.
I kind of cracked up. I was watching the replay because I was busy when it was originally broadcast. I was watching the replay of it. I was watching with the one with Retro Princess last night. Jim in the middle of it remarks, "Well, I was raised Presbyterian." I'm going, I literally picked up my phone and messaged him. I said, "You're Presbyterian? My dad was a Presbyterian minister." Like, I didn't know that. But I fully got his joke. He said, "Look, kind of like Catholic, but half the calories." I was like,
yeah. It's like
I knew exactly what he meant. Yeah, I was cracking up. Well, let's see. My channel's got a whole bunch of more stuff I've added to this crazy collection. As usual, Ripper will be tomorrow because I finally got that. I don't even call them reviews anymore. It's just like, hey, this is what I got.
call it like a showcase or an overview. You know, you just
Showcase. I like that.
Unpackaging or whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
Yeah.
like a review kind of implies that you're going to critique the item. But like if you're just getting something and you like it, it's like I don't really have it. Like, yeah, there's always like if you have to look for a critique, you'll find one. But it's like I bought it because I liked it.
Yeah, or at least I thought I'd like it.
Yeah.
I bought it and then I got it in hand and like.
So unless something's like a glaring issue, like those
This
D&D
guy
figures just falling apart,
This guy thought I'd love him.
Yeah.
I hate him. He's goofy little loose arms that I don't even have to barely touch.
Yeah. He
like,
looks cool, but yeah.
I mean, at least if he's sitting there static, okay, it's the anti-monitor. Cool. He's also not as tall as I thought. I think
I hate when they skimp on that. I like when our kind of monstrous figures are monstrous, like when they make a Hulk that's the same size as the humanoids, I'm like, you could have just, at least given him a head, or two higher.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, he was sold as being a larger figure and he comes in a huge box. But then you get him out and you realize all the negative space that was in there and it's like, oh, he's really like only an inch taller than a regular figure.
Yeah, it's like buying a big bag of chips and then having to reach your hand all the way down in
there. Right. Yeah, it's all the air in the chips. You're right. Anyway, there's that. I got a dragon coming up on Thursday because I got a dragon cheap. It was the Dungeons and Dragons dragon. Yeah, just stuff like that. And let me see. I'm gonna catch up with the chat here really quick. Oh man, I'm way behind. Okay. All right, Frontline, I think. I was doing the same, find the acid line mini trips.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know about it in that time frame. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Chat me. I already read that one, I think. Speaking of Dreadnoks, I finally got Ripper. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did read that. Okay, maybe I'm not so far behind. Okay, Kelly. Toys R Us.
Oh yeah, we got to that.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I wasn't behind on the chat. All right. Anti-Monitor was so disappointing. Yep, he was. Okay. I think it's about time to wrap it up unless you got anything else.
No, it's been great talking to you.
It has been great. I appreciate it. I've really been wanting to just sit and kind of jam with you, so I'm glad we got this opportunity. I was really surprised. I really just talked to you last night and it was like, yeah, we want to go tomorrow. I'm like, oh, you're ready to go? Okay.
Yeah, well, you said Tuesday. I'm like, tomorrow's Tuesday. So yeah, I was like, I figured that's why you're reaching out. But yeah, for something like this where we just hang out, it's
cool.
Nothing to prep for really. Just it's nice to just come on and shoot the shit with someone who appreciates things that we have a lot in common, and we always have a great chat. So yeah.
All right, Wilhelm, take care. Chat, take care, guys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button because that's what us YouTubers tell you to do.
Oh, let me send you off with a. Bye.
All right. Nice night, everybody.